Action.
Welcome to Off Camera, the UC Film Society radio show all about movies. I'm Ollie.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Cameron.
And we'll be your directors for this episode. This week on Off Camera, we're doing a special episode. We'll be talking about our recent watches and then be doing a couple of news segments, which you'll find out about shortly. So,
we'll kick off with recent watching first.
Yeah. What have you been watching recently, gentlemen?
Shall I go first? Okay,
Yeah,
so
go
this
for it.
weekend I saw the new sci-fi movie, The Creator. 2023, obviously, Gareth Edwards, new film. Director of Rogue One, Star Wars story, which is one of my favorite Star Wars films. I was really hyped for this movie because I love sci-fi, love Rogue One, like I said. Shot by Greg Fraser, who's an amazing DP, and scored by Hans Zimmer, John David Washington. Just a lot of promise in this film, and it just disappointed me. Like, the story and the writing and the plot was just so generic. And I don't need films to be groundbreaking, but I do like my films to have a little more thought put into it than this film did have.
Even though it was AI, like the whole thing is, it's about AI.
Yeah, it felt like it was written by AI, and maybe that's what they were going for.
Ooh. Okay.
That feels a bit mean, but
So without giving away, we just said it's like your standard like sci-fi.
yeah, it's just like the character they give background to him, but it's like the most you could think of it like this. You know what I mean?
Like he's got a tragic backstory
Yes.
that was thrust
Yes.
into it. I haven't seen it, by the way, but
Yeah,
these two haven't seen
neither
it,
of
so
us have seen
I don't
it.
want to spoil it.
thrust
but like,
into a thing where he has to save the world,
Mm.
and then he meets some zany characters.
See,
side
there's nothing
characters.
wroong with a tragic backstory, but just like make it.
And the
a bit
visuals
unique.
were so amazing, and like there was so much thought put into like the design of the world that I wish there was more thought put into the actual story. And like generic stories are fine, yeah, but like in a sci-fi movie, I feel like that can't be the case.
Sci-fi's so unique. Like the whole point,
Mm.
the whole reason it was created is like a exploration of our imaginations and where we could go.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it is a bit
And it
disappointing
has
to hear that it's not
influenced.
that it's so generic.
Yeah, and sci-fi has influenced pop culture
Yeah.
incredibly,
And
and some of the technologies that we're actually making today, which is really cool. But yeah, I think just generic sci-fi.
Especially when there's sci-fi movies like, and I don't want to compare because that's unfair, but like when there's sci-fi movies like Tenet coming out that are just so inventive and like unlike anything you've ever seen before.
Coming out
Like just
Oh.
sci-fi movies
At this
like,
time
at
in
this
history.
time. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
just like so inventive and like unlike anything you've ever seen.
I would rather a sci-fi movie be really divisive, and some people think it's like really bad. Some people think it's really good, and no in between. Then people just be like, it's okay.
There will be those people, but it'll be people will mostly be pushed to the extremes. And yeah, I think you're exactly right.
And in any movie, just in general, like I'd rather a director take a swing and miss than play it safe. And because The Creator's not a bad movie, but it's just fine. And that's upsetting to me because I thought it was going to be great. Hans Zimmer's score wasn't even like that standout. So it was just
Really?
like, yeah.
That's such a shame.
Yeah, no.
I'll have to listen to the soundtrack then.
It's not a bad score. Like none of these things are bad in the movie. It's just so like,
Yeah.
Do you think the score didn't stand out to you though because you were already feeling a bit like,
perhaps there was some moments in the score, like especially towards the end that like got me. And I think that's because that's when the film started working. So maybe
Yeah, right. Okay. So its third act was its strongest.
for me, a lot of people disagree with that.
Right. Okay.
It is a bit of a rush third act, but I did like what kind of just happened in it, and
Yeah,
like
right.
how it was
You liked the
staged.
events, even if the story could have been more
Right.
fulfilling in that third act.
Yes, and I don't know. I was just really looking forward to it, and I just don't think it's ultimately really forgettable. And like, I just
That's
don't.
such a shame.
I just don't think I'd ever rewatch it. And
I was
think
really
people should-
looking forward to it.
I think
damn.
I know, and I think people should go see it because it's worth seeing for the visuals alone.
Yeah, I'm still gonna see it.
And
Yeah, definitely. Just
There's
maybe
a lot
not
of
at the cinema.
good stuff in there.
when it
And
comes out.
I just hate when I see a movie and like you can see the parts, bits and pieces that are like could form a great movie, but it's just not doesn't come together.
Have they talked about doing a sequel?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause the
And-
sequel could be.
Yeah, the sequel could be like the Redeemer,
Right.
Yeah.
or it could be. They
You find that
never
with
do another
video
one.
games, like they'll have the first, which will just crash and won't be too
Mhm.
interesting, and then the second one will really build upon everything, and it's
Mm.
a really good game. But if they did have a sequel, I reckon it would be so much better. But
Perhaps.
From
I
what
mean,
I've heard.
I just don't think Gareth Edwards is like a strong writer. I mean, he's a really good visual filmmaker, but like Tony Gilroy wrote
Oh
Rogue One.
yeah, I was like, didn't he write? No, it was
Tony Gilroy, and then he did Andor, which
Yeah.
also confirmed like greatness in writing.
Yeah.
And I know Gareth Edwards had some touches on Rogue One as well, like on writing wise. But
Yeah.
this was like his passion project, and I don't know, just didn't feel the passion there. Besides the world created
Yeah,
and the
that's a shame.
visuals,
I mean, maybe
Yeah.
he just put too much energy into making the world that he then like
perhaps like
felt
he
rushed into
definitely
doing the
I
story.
definitely felt like he prioritized stuff, and that's not a bad thing. Like,
prioritize world building.
yeah,
Yeah.
because like I feel like Dune, for example, like prioritizes as this is an adaptation, so obviously it's different, but I feel like that prioritizes like the visuals more so. But there's also a very strong story. It's,
I mean, yeah, it's adapted the story from the book in a
Yes.
really capable way.
yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not all you've been watching?
No,
though?
no,
No.
no. So this weekend, Wes Anderson released 4 short films. The first one being Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, 39 minutes. The rest are 17 minutes, Poison, The Ratcatcher, and The Swan. They're all up on Netflix now. They're all easy watches. They're all great stuff. I really like those.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we definitely need to check them out.
Yeah,
Because I've had it in my watch list. I just haven't.
yeah,
And
same.
they're
I
not
saw that
connected.
Came out.
Different casts. And
Okay, all
different
entirely
stories.
different.
They're all adaptations of Roald
Roald
Dahl's
Dahl's
short stories.
Yeah.
And he's done Fantastic Mr. Fox before.
Yeah.
So
I haven't
Which
read
was
the Roald
done
Dahl short stories,
earlier.
but I think I've heard of them.
I
Actually
wasn't
not
familiar
sure.
with any of them, and they were all like really great. I would
Yeah.
like
No, I've only seen like the big books like Charlie and the Chocolate
Mhm.
Factory, Danny and the Champion of the World, those kind of things.
it's cool to see him take those little ones and turn them into like something bigger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Even though Roald Dahl was questionable. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway,
his content was good. His himself questionable.
Yeah.
So what have you been watching?
I've been watching Knives Out. Again, I've seen it before, but it's just good to rewatch it 'cause it's been quite a while since I've watched it, and now watching it again as a film student, it's like there's so many more things that I didn't catch the first time. And
You
it's
rewatched the first one.
yeah, the
Nice,
first,
nice.
not Glass Onion,
Yeah.
which is still very good.
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend Glass Onion. I did watch that as well. It's
Oh,
long.
nice. Yeah.
But yeah, just the whole Knives Out saga. I think it kind of goes in tandem with the Hercule Poirot stories
Yeah.
that we've been getting
Mhm.
from
Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh, which he actually has
New one.
there's a
coming
new
out.
one
That's
coming
out
out.
already?
Good.
Oh, it is.
It's
out.
already out.
Haunting in Venice. Yeah. It's
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Well, gotta see that one as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much stuff to watch.
Missing everything. Too busy.
No, but yeah. So Knives Out, it has an amazing story. It looks amazing. The acting is phenomenal. The cast is it's an all-star cast.
It's just one of those things like with a murder mystery or just a mystery movie. Like you have to be able to spot the clues yourself going through, like on a
Yeah.
rewatch. Like they have to be hidden enough that you're probably not going to notice them on the way through, but you might be like, oh, maybe I did say that in the back of my head.
Yeah, and then it helps
And
to rewatch it.
Knives
and you
Out
can,
does do that. I felt like Glass Onion didn't do that as well, especially because
No.
they have like the whole flashback sequence and it like cuts back. I didn't feel like you could, like, if you were really, really paying attention, fully guess based on what they show you.
You
can
couldn't have
guess,
picked the
You can
twist.
guess like based on, some people might be able to guess like just on literary analysis, but based on like the actual clues they give you, I don't think you could have guessed because they then go back in time, and that makes it difficult.
yeah, exactly. And I think
But
It was
Knives
still-
Out does it really well.
for an Agatha Christie adaptation, it was adaptation. It was very. it was pretty good because you get the general tropes that it was okay. One location, obvious suspects from the beginning with the setup. It's never the maids or anything, and then yeah, it's just like your standard Agatha Christie adaptation, but it's still the way that it was done makes it incredibly unique. And I think the cinematography as well, really well done. Again, look when you're watching it again, still noticing these things that you didn't notice the first time. How when the not to give too much away if you haven't seen it already, but when you're watching the interviews where the subjects the suspects are interviewed by the police. When you're watching each interview and you see very similar shots, but they're slightly different, where everyone remembers something slightly differently, is really well done. And that stylistic choice, incredible. And then Glass Onion, not as great. I don't know if that had anything to do with Netflix purchasing the franchise, which was an interesting choice, but still very good cinematography. I think 101 for like if you're looking for good examples, if you wanted to base some of your short films off it, some of your work off it. But yeah, again, you couldn't have picked up the twist without a flashback, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it's really, I find the Knives Out franchise really interesting because they came out right after The Last Jedi, and they're both, like, they're Rian Johnson. And obviously The Last Jedi was so divisive, and we won't really get into our opinions on that.
Too much stuff.
I have so many opinions on that movie.
But he came out with that, which was really divisive, and then just a couple years later, he came out with Knives Out, and everybody loves it.
An absolute crowd pleaser.
Yeah,
because it was such a change from The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
and it was a really good change because of.
So I just thought that was really interesting.
I love Rian Johnson. I mean, I totally agree about both these movies. Like Knives Out, I think is actually just a masterful film. Like screenplay wise, like that's one of the best screenplays in recent years for me. And I think it actually is a little bit underrated in terms of its writing. And I do agree about Glass Onion. Like the structure doesn't really work for me. And it is something we've already seen before. Like Knives Out felt like, obviously it's familiar, but like it felt like such lightning in a bottle, especially seeing Daniel Craig play that type of character. Like
exactly, it doesn't fit him because we've seen him in James Bond as this super spy, and then he's this kind of washed up detective.
Well, it's not that it doesn't fit him; it's that it surprisingly fits him.
Yeah, it surprisingly
fits him, but we never would have guessed that.
And I think he's
that's
even
the
better.
last thing I would have picked him to act in.
And
honestly.
I think he's even better in Glass Onion. And I love the cast of that film and the cinematography.
It was because I think you're right. He is so much better in Glass Onion because he's grown into the character and we actually see more of his backstory.
Yeah.
But then again, I think Hercule Poirot and that series, they're like Marvel and DC. They're competing, and unfortunately, I think the Knives Out series is like DC in this situation because of probably the Netflix purchase. I would really like to see more from Rian Johnson and this series. I think.
Oh well, don't worry. There's another, at least one already being developed. But they've talked about making, I think maybe 5. I'm not sure.
Thank God. I can watch these movies forever.
But I'm not sure about that comparison. The Knives Out franchise is the DC of the two. I think just because there's 3 Poirot ones out, and
actually no, sorry, Star Wars and Star Trek.
Star Wars and Star Trek.
The movies,
because I'm not sure
universes.
Because the Poirot ones, all of them have been not so divisive, not as divisive as as The Last Jedi, for example. But some people are like, oh yeah, that's good fun, and some people are like, it's just bad.
And
whereas I don't think anyone's been like, for Knives Out or Glass Onion, oh, it's just fun, or oh, it's just bad.
I have never talked to someone who didn't like Knives Out. I will say that.
Same. And then Glass Onion, I have talked to people who didn't like it, but it was more divisive rather than being just like
Yeah, okay.
Whereas I've heard about like Death on the Nile. People are like, it was all right.
Yeah, I saw a lot of bad reviews.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
Yeah. But I don't think anything was like really divisive about it.
Okay. But yeah, there is a big difference in the two movies, especially. And in Glass Onion, from the beginning, you can tell who the murderer is. You can 100% tell. But I think it's one redeeming quality for me, or the bit that stood out the most was that opening sequence, and the editing there is just phenomenal. I think it is.
I actually missed
incredibly
not the
unique.
opening sequence, but just the opening, like sort of the first 2 minutes, I think, of that puzzle box sequence.
Right.
When I went to see it in theaters, I haven't seen it since then.
Oh, okay.
So I did miss the start of it, and so I sort of jumped in not understanding fully the character dynamics. I didn't know who was who.
Yeah, that's pretty key.
So it took me a second to get on top of it. Yeah. And what I did, so I was like, whoa, this is so clever. I found it sad. I am going to spoil the movie here. I know we've been avoiding
Spoilers.
it. Not for like the main plot point, but he talks about how trivial the puzzle box was, Daniel Craig's character, but then we find out he just got a smashed one. And so, yeah, I found that sad. I was like, I would have loved to see him solve it just like bam, 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 just really quick.
Yeah.
Because everyone else really struggled with it.
And you see them do that later in the movie when he's like at the dinner table and he's like, this was there, this was there, this was there.
Yeah, so he knows about it, but it's then shown that, it's because he was given a smashed one and he...
Yeah, it does kind of ruin that first little, like, it's very similar to Knives Out. He doesn't know who hired him. It's the same. He doesn't know who brought him to the island for Glass Onion. And then that mystery was kind of, that flashback, I don't know, it didn't have the same effect as finding out that in Knives Out, spoilers again, that Ransom hired Daniel Craig. It was weird. Not as effective, I don't think, but still, I think Knives Out is definitely the better of the two.
Yeah, but I'll watch these films forever, and I think they'll always be entertaining.
Yeah,
like they might not be Knives Out, the first one, which is masterful, but they'll be entertaining because they'll have a good cast, great ideas. Daniel Craig playing that character. Exactly.
I'll never get bored with them. I'll never just go, Like I've watched it a million times, but I'll never just go, There'll always be something that I just really like with it. Yeah. Finally, Ollie, what have you been watching?
I haven't watched any movies lately since watching Boogie Nights for last week's show, but I have been watching the live-action One Piece show. I haven't seen the anime, but I've watched 5 episodes so far of the 8-episode show, and I've actually really been enjoying it. I am a fan of anime, even though I haven't seen a bunch of it, and it makes me want to watch the anime. The show is 8 episodes, and it covers the first 61 episodes of the anime. The anime is 1,078 episodes, though, so that's just a drop in the bucket.
But aren't they're like 20-minute episodes, aren't they?
For the anime, yes.
Yeah.
For the show, they're like an hour.
Yeah, so you can fit a lot more in.
Yeah. So, it's really good fun. It's really well shot. The VFX are pretty good. And yeah, it's like I said, it's just a bit of fun. I don't think it's very high stakes, and also most of the fans already know like the story if they've watched the anime or read the manga. But I think it's good for getting new fans in. It's a bit of fun. Some people might have just seen it recommended to them on Netflix, never heard of the anime, and just go into it and watch it. So yeah, that's what I've been watching. That's sort of the only thing.
I must say I haven't really kept up much with this show. I don't really watch anime much, and I haven't seen anything about it. But from what I've heard, yes, everybody's really enjoying it, especially if they're a fan of the anime. But yeah, I don't really have many words for it, unfortunately.
I know the creator Oda had a big hand in making it. Like that was what people were worried about, and then he was like, "No, I'm involved in making it. I don't want to make something I don't want to just like hand over my IP to someone and let them make it without me being involved."
That's good.
And so that's why people are really enjoying it, because he's been a part of it the whole way.
I'm reading here it's narrated by Ian McShane, who's Winston in John Wick. That's awesome. I love his voice so much.
There's not a huge amount of narration, but every now and then.
I do want to see more of him in things.
Yeah, he's so good.
Him as Blackbeard in
Oh my God.
So good.
So that's pretty much all our recent watching. So we're going to jump into what is going to be, for today, a new segment that we might carry over into future episodes. We're calling it Pick Your Moment.
It's kind of a game.
Kind of a game, kind of a segment.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a discussion with what would you do sort of scenario thing. But essentially the way it's going to work is we're going to talk about a movie, and it's an imaginary scenario where you've gone into the movie and you only have one handful of popcorn. That is your only snack, and you have to decide when in the movie you would eat it. What is the moment? Is it the most tense moment? Is it the most lighthearted moment? Are you snacking on it? Like, what's your plan? Are you eating one piece every 2 minutes. What are you doing?
This is a problem because I've kind of got big hands.
Yeah. In
That's
my
a lot of
mind, the
popcorn.
handful is small enough that you could toss it all in your mouth at once.
Oh, okay. So like small,
So it's
maybe like 6 pieces.
yeah, something like that. It's not a lot of popcorn.
Okay. So
ideally,
for
you're
the
not
movie-
spacing it out. You're
Yeah.
picking a moment. That's why it's called pick your moment.
okay. So for the movie, let's do Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yes.
Sounds
It's
great.
a tense movie. Tense action
Very
movie
intense
though.
movie.
So there's lots of scenes where it's just fighting and who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. Jake, do you want to start off with your thoughts about the movie, just to give people a bit of a rundown, and then let us know where you would?
Let's do it.
Eat
I
the
mean,
popcorn?
it's one of my favorite action movies. It might be my favorite. I'd
favorite?
have to. It's certainly in my top 5. Certainly my favorite Mission Impossible film. I think this film just starts. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes and never holds up. Like, there's barely a moment to breathe. And I think just some of the set pieces in this film that I'm sure we're about to talk about are just so good. And I love the score by Lorne Balfe. He's actually an underrated composer, I think. He does the Mission Impossible. He did Top Gun Maverick.
Up until Dead Reckoning, it was the most insane in terms of stunts as well. For, for Tom Cruise
Yeah.
and Mission Impossible.
He ups himself again in Dead Reckoning somehow. But Fallout is the best because I feel like it's got not a great story, because all these stories are like kind of
It's very
a little
like
bit all over the place. But
it's always set up with a big set piece,
Yes.
and then we go into
Yeah.
your mission if you choose
Yeah.
to accept it.
Yeah.
And if you don't choose to accept it, the world's gonna blow up. But even though they're very generic, they're always entertaining.
Yeah.
My absolute favorite thing about Mission Impossible, which you don't really know unless you see one little scene at the end of the third movie, is that the IMF, the intelligence agency they work for, is called the Impossible Mission Force.
It's so dumb.
It's
I
so
love it so
dumb
much.
that it's
It works so well.
hilarious. I think that's taken directly from the show that it's based on, but still, it's just so random and absolutely it's funny.
Honestly, I could kind of pick the US government making a division called the Impossible Mission Force.
It's like, do you remember that
It's so
TV
silly.
show on Netflix that flopped? It was Space Force with Steve.
Oh.
Carell.
Yeah.
That there was a US government agency that was like Space Military. It's the same
it's the
vibes.
thing that Donald Trump set up. He set up the Space Force, and everyone was like, "This is so stupid." And Netflix was like, "Yes, we're gonna make a comedy about it."
Jesus.
And it was really
I
stupid.
never watched it, but
Neither,
was
I
never
just
going
heard
to.
about
I watched the first couple episodes. John Malkovich is amazing.
I love John Malkovich.
Everybody else is kind of just they're just kind of there.
Okay, who wants to say their first? Who wants to say their moment first?
I shall go first.
Jake, you
Cam
should go.
pointed
You go.
straight at Jake.
Jake's got this.
Yeah, because I've got it ready. Like,
I've got a couple in mind, but
I hope I'm
I
not
want you to
stealing
go first.
anyone's
No,
here.
go for it.
And I definitely also want to hear your guys'
I still
thoughts
need
on
to
the
think
movie.
of mine, sir.
I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the movies before you share them too, because I just don't know. So my pick is when they're about to jump out of the plane, the Halo jump sequence. I knew I'd
When
steal
they're
someone's.
when they're about to,
Literally,
or
when
That
they're
was
putting
my
on their
idea.
suits.
okay, so not
Their
while
helmets.
they're in the air.
No,
Okay.
right as they put on their helmets, and he jumps out. The way the aspect ratio widens as he jumps out, and I would just eat the handful as he jumps and sit back and enjoy. That moment is so insane, and I could have picked so much from that, but yeah, that moment is unreal. My breath stops every time I see it.
Okay, well, I'm going to go next because I was going to say that's one of my 2 moments, but not while they're about to. I was going to say when Henry Cavill's character is unconscious.
Oh, that's a good moment.
During the
Yeah.
Halo jump.
I just kind of meant the
'Cause it's
whole
like-
thing.
It's one of those things, you know Tom Cruise, you know Ethan Hunt is not going to die.
No,
Mm-hmm.
Unless
he never
unless,
does. Tom Cruise never dies.
Unless the movie ends with like the whole world ending, which it wouldn't, or it's like been confirmed the final one in the franchise, like No Time to Die. Spoilers for James Bond fans. Like Ethan Hunt is not going to die. So I wasn't stressed for him, but Henry Cavill's character, I was like, I don't think he's going to die, but I don't know. Like they could have completely twisted it because he'd only just been introduced and he was set up to be an antagonist, if not the antagonist, though then it turns out he sort of is the antagonist.
Which is very spoilers.
We can't talk about these movies.
2018 movie.
It's a 2018 movie. No, the spoiler ban's definitely been lifted.
That's a great moment.
But it's like you don't know, like he could die, or like Ethan Hunt gives his oxygen to Henry Cavill's character, whose name I can't remember.
Agent Waller.
Yeah, to Waller.
Which is definitely a wall in.
And so you don't know if like Ethan's going to then get injured or get captured or something, because they end up separated. And then they just land, and Waller's so cocky, and it's so annoying because you've just seen the most intense scene.
Yep.
But I'm now not going to say that because you've said pretty much that same scene, but just a bit before. I'm going to say a scene not right at the start, but pretty close to the start, when they're in the hospital room, and they're watching the news broadcast, and the bombs are going off in multiple capital cities, and it's terrifying. You're like, oh my goodness, they've gone to town with this because
they lost the plutonium. Oh my god,
they lost the plutonium, and
what's
now
happened?
Half the world's gone into nuclear winter essentially, and it's really intense because you can't believe that Mission Impossible has gone down this route, and that, every movie from now on, half the world has been destroyed, and you just have that in the back of your head. And then it's slowly revealed to you, the audience, and to the character that it's a dupe, and that they've set this up to extract information from their prisoner. And it's just done in such a good way. But just sitting in the middle of that, it sucks you in so strongly. And I just think it's probably the most intense scene.
Such an amazing reveal.
Just say mine. I'll say mine now. Well, actually, fun little fact about the Mission Impossible franchise. If you look at how much time Tom Cruise spends doing his iconic run in the movie, it is directly linked to the box office numbers for said movie. So the first couple of films where I believe he doesn't run very much.
Runs the least, yeah.
He runs the least. They flopped. But the rest of them, where he's run significantly for longer amounts of time, they've done so much better at the box office. It's just a really
correlation does not equal causation.
I know, but it's a really odd phenomenon.
I like that fact a lot.
I don't know.
It's more just there's more stunts and thus more running in each movie, but at the same time, each movie has a bigger budget and more people are going to see them because they've then seen all the ones before it.
I could watch
it.
You're ruining my illusion. You're ruining the illusion.
Everything to do with the running.
But everything to do with the running.
There's a very good YouTube video titled "Why Tom Cruise's Run is So Important," and it's exactly about this fact. I love it. Highly recommend you watch it.
That is hilarious.
Yes.
Though.
Anyway, so for my moment, it again when they're jumping out of the plane. Props to the cameraman. If you see the behind the scenes, he's got a camera on his head. He's running out of a plane, a big military plane, backwards, and just jumps. And
it's all
he still gets the shot. It looks incredible. But
is it all one take?
It's all one take.
Because they only did it. How many times did they do it?
They did it
a
once.
lot.
Yeah.
I think they did it.
Which is like everyone's like, "Oh, Tom, you jumped out of a plane so many times," but like this cameraman jumped out of a plane.
I think they did
so
it 6
many
or
times.
7 times.
Either.
Yeah,
6 or 7 times, I think.
Wow.
Damn.
But it's not that actually. It's a smaller moment. I reckon when they're in the club and they're in the bathroom scene, you know exactly what I'm talking about, Jake. It's where Henry Cavill gets thrown against the wall. He gets up and then reloads his fists. It's such
one of the coolest moments
Have you
ever.
seen that? I was just talking about this with some other people, and they were like, "That's the cheesiest scene in the whole movie." It's
so
really
good. It's so
the
good.
sound effect they put on.
Oh
Like,
my god.
But if you look really close, in the first punch, he has a beard, and then in the second punch, he just has stubble. So they've done a cut in the middle of that, and he's shaved in between.
Hang on. I'm going to Google this real quick so I can confirm it's true. But yeah, that's definitely, there was such a phenomenon online. He was getting asked in interviews, how did you make reloading your fists look so cool?
It's definitely something to do, like the tightness of his shirt. It's like the fabric pulls, the sound they've used there. It's like you can feel the power, I guess, in his arms.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about action heroes and dedication to the role and like starving and dehydrating yourself to get so ripped looking and blah, blah, blah. But there's also no denying that to some degree it is cool. And he's covered up in that moment. Like it's not like he's actively flaunting everything. But yeah, just the way they've constructed it so that he does this move and the sound and everything.
I'm just rewatching it. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't see it.
I saw it online.
Hang on, I'm going to go frame by frame. So he's reloading. Okay. So that, just for anybody watching, this is the bathroom scene where they're trying to get John Locke.
Here we go.
They're trying to capture him so he can't steal the plutonium for the nuclear bomb. So I'm going through it. He reloads his
official
right
Mission
fist.
Impossible TikTok account posted, fun fact, the arm reload also made his beard grow.
Oh my! Actually, hang on. Oh my god!
Wait, is that not his?
Okay,
not
so
his face coming forward.
It's just
So it's
after
the other way
he
round.
pushes his right hand down. He brings his left hand up to his face, and then no, it looks like he's just bringing his face up, but
It looks like
No,
his
it also
no.
looks like his beard's getting regrown. What? But you genuinely can't tell there's a cut though. It looks so. There's no way that there's a cut there.
There is though. I don't know if there is.
If
But,
you're
it
listening-
just looks like it.
If you're listening right now, go and Google Henry Cavill reloading fists. Watch the first video at about 30 seconds.
or
Go through it
or go to
frame
the
by
TikTok,
frame.
The Mission Impossible TikTok, the arm reload made his beard grow, and it's the very first second of the video.
Well, beard regrow or not, it's an amazing moment.
So yeah, to begin with, he's got like this little bit of stubble, but then he crosses his hand
Ooh, yeah.
over his face. Wait, no, it gets bigger. So it's like a little goatee, and then it goes into a full-on beard.
Yeah, that's a definite regrow.
But that's such a maybe he
But
can
it
just.
look, it
he's
looks
Henry
like
Cavill. He could.
CGI because it's multiple frames. It's not just all in one frame that it happens.
I reckon Henry Cavill can regrow his beard on command. That's what it
We
is.
can't ruin this moment.
That's all it is.
It
No,
must be. It must be.
that's all it is.
Because every time I watch this, I fist pump.
Yeah,
Every
it's-
time he does this, I'm like, hell yeah.
How the hell does he do that though?
Yeah.
I don't know how you like. It must.
That's
It's a
such a
mix.
great
It's a
choice.
mix of sound and costuming, and his shirt's even not even that
And
tight.
I wanted to say the bathroom fight, but I couldn't pick out a moment, and that's the moment I should.
That's got to. Yeah, that's my moment.
Yeah.
And then, just as an overall, when we're talking about non-stop action,
I need you guys to come around and watch this. I'm moving frame by frame, and it's just it's zoomed in on Henry Cavill.
Okay, all right.
You actually
Hang on.
see the darkening of his beard. Look at this. Okay, so 0 seconds, moving frame by frame. You can see it darkening, and
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
what-
if it's just the
that's what we saw.
shadows.
That's what we saw. Keep
But-
going, and then it's like a full-on. He's got the
Yeah.
gray part at the front.
I think what it is, I think what it actually is the shadows are changing on his face as he moves forward, and he's also scrunching his face so that his chin comes up, and so some of that beard hair that's like on his neck comes up and pushes up onto his chin.
I reckon we should start a crowdfunder to get Henry Cavill on this show.
I would have never noticed because I'm watching his arms every time.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
like-
always watching
I'm
his
so
arms.
locked into
heart eyes
each
on
motion.
those arms.
Yeah. Can I just mention
can't.
one more moment?
Of course.
Before we go?
It's
'Cause-
not your moment, but honorable mention.
Oh my god!
Honorable mention.
When he drops from the helicopter, and he lands on the payload.
You know, Simon Pegg and the other actors didn't know that that was an intentional stunt, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh my goodness, Tom's
He's
just
got-
fallen. He's died.
dead."
Like Tom's just died." And then they're like, "Cool, stunt's gone well." And they were like, "What? What?"
It's
but yeah, it was
Unreal.
it was
That whole
something.
chase could be like in itself, but that moment in specific.
I couldn't imagine being Simon Pegg in that. Every single movie, there's always a moment where he's like, "How did Tom not die?"
He talks about it again in like the
Every single interview.
for Dead Reckoning when he
Yeah.
went off the cliff.
Hmm.
Crazy.
He did that.
I feel bad
I think
for
he
him
did
'cause
that
says he
stunt
gets so
5 times.
stressed.
He did that stunt 5 times.
Yeah.
So you guys love this movie a lot, right?
I do.
I love all the Mission
I was looking-
Impossible.
I
They're
thought
just-
I-
Me
they're
too.
just fun.
I was looking for the DVD the other day to watch it, but I just couldn't find it.
Is it your favorite Mission Impossible?
I'm not sure. It's the only one I've seen in theaters.
After watching Dead Reckoning, it is.
Yeah, it's certainly mine. I love Ghost Protocol though.
That's
The
true.
Burj Khalifa stunt that's another moment.
I don't know. I think the gloves ruined it for me.
But those are something that could exist in real life.
They could, but immediately as soon as they were introduced, I just
You
knew they
wanted
were
him
going
to
to
be
fail.
climbing it.
But
I
when
just
they die,
I
though?
knew they were just going to fail.
When they die,
I knew it.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, but that was the whole point. And they were like, we need a plausible way for Tom to be climbing the Burj Khalifa with just his hands and feet.
Yeah.
And Ethan Hunt isn't even that insane
Right.
to do it without having this technology.
I like it because you're watching it for the first time. You're like, oh, I wish he was doing this himself, and then he does do it himself.
Yeah.
And when he runs across, oh my god.
I love that movie. There's something about it though that's stopping it from being my favorite, and I think it's to do with like, obviously they have to go underground, but it starts off so strong with the Kremlin scene, and then it has the Burj Khalifa scene, and then it ends in like that parking garage, and I don't find that as strong. It's very cool to watch, but I don't find it as narratively strong as the rest of the film. It's like you want them to be undercover without support the whole time, and they are technically without support, but it's also just, I don't know. There's something
It feels like it should be like a mid-movie scene, whereas Fallout with Fallout, it's that big open landscape that's just incredible. You can tell that they're isolated. He's got no backup coming for him. Fun fact about Ghost Protocol, they had to break 35 windows in the Burj Khalifa during filming to get that to happen.
Wow, I didn't know that.
They
I
broke
did not know that
35 windows.
And another really cheesy moment near the end when he hits the button, he goes, "Mission accomplished."
True. That's questionable, but that's like forgivable because it's a
just
funny
like-
action movie. It's
if-
more just like, I felt like
I agree.
it was Ghost Protocol. There almost should have been less action scene and more like intense, like not fighting but low, like espionage.
Like espionage. Yeah.
It's my
but
fault.
yeah.
It's my favorite.
I still
just don't think there's
love
a weak
it.
moment.
But
still love
he
it.
does run for a solid 6 minutes in that movie.
In Fallout or
in
Ghost
Ghost
Protocol?
Protocol, when
Ghost
he's running
Protocol.
towards the sandstorm, dude.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the sandstorm scene is pretty
Yeah,
intense.
I think that's where the
Actually,
movie stops.
It's probably more than the 6 minutes.
You know.
Yeah. I think if it was
Is that
like...
the movie? That's not the movie that has the like the underwater.
That's Rogue Nation.
yeah.
And I don't really love that movie, but that moment is amazing.
It's
That's
still
so
good. Jeremy Renner was a very good casting choice for...
He's great in
I
Ghost
like
Pro.
Jeremy Renner
Yeah.
in Ghost Protocol.
He's in Rogue Nation, right?
He's in Rogue Nation.
He's
and then
in- I think
not
he's in-
He's
Fallout.
weird in Rogue Nation.
He's in Dead Reckoning, though.
No, he's not.
No, but he's in Dead Reckoning Part 2 apparently,
Yes.
That's what I meant.
which is not out yet.
No, it's not. Oh, yeah. Dead Reckoning Part 1, Part 2.
Okay, Jake, do you want to
Film.
introduce our next segment?
Let's do it. Today we're going to be doing a new segment called Director in Focus, where we look at a director and talk about their work in depth. This is relevant because of his new shorts released this weekend on Netflix, which we talked about
You should
recently.
probably say who it is.
Yeah, I'm going to. Build up.
Oh.
Wes Anderson.
Suspense.
We're talking about Wes Anderson.
That's my bad.
He's
Oh.
released a film this
Oh,
year
shut
already called Asteroid City, and now he's got these new shorts. He released his film so recent, so like he works so efficiently and he works so rapidly, and his films come out and they always are him and his distinct style.
I hope we don't hear that he's like abusing people on set so that they work really, really fast.
Really don't think that's the case. You'd hope not, because I feel like a lot of actors like love to work with him, even like in small roles. He does it
True.
so like
Like Edward Norton says, I turn down big movies so that,
Right.
or the reason I do these big blockbuster movies is so I can work on Wes Anderson movies for really low budget.
and a lot of people are like in his movies, but like in five minutes. Margot Robbie's in his new movie Asteroid City. Sorry, spoilers that she's in it, but I guess she's.
Is
in
it
the
a
cast.
surprise? I didn't
It's
know.
kind of a surprise.
I didn't know she was
She's
in it, but I
one
didn't know
scene-
that it was
one
a surprise
scene.
that she was in
One
it.
scene.
Wow.
40
Margot
mil-
Robbie.
three,
one scene.
$3 million.
Yeah.
I reckon she's got a considerable amount of money for that cameo.
Yeah. But yeah, we're looking at Wes Anderson. What are your guys' thoughts on Wes Anderson?
I really like his movies. I haven't seen all of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're all like
They're-
family friendly, fun like pieces. They're not blockbusters. They're not action movies, even if they have like action things in them. They're all just fun, sort of low stakes. Like you're not going in and going, "Oh my god, Mission Impossible, the whole world's gonna end."
No.
It's like personal stakes,
Yeah, they're all
Everything's
little
personal
personal stories that
and I love that.
where you really get to know the characters.
Yeah.
And same. Yeah,
I also
I
love
do really
that
enjoy.
He
it.
doesn't shy away from like different mediums. Like
No.
he works in animation, he works in live action, he works in different styles of animation.
But in every single one, he brings his distinct style.
yes,
The craft is undeniable.
Exactly.
It's undeniable.
yeah, he has his very own unique style. And I know lots of people are like, "Oh, how am I going to get into the film like, how am I going to be a director or a writer or a cinematographer if I don't have this style? And he's obviously worked it out pretty quickly, but you don't develop it overnight.
It takes years and years of culminating and experimenting and finding what you as a director like.
Yeah.
And everybody's different.
Yeah. I love Wes Anderson. He's certainly one of my 10 favorite directors working today. And I feel like there's two distinct halves to Wes Anderson. And I think recently Wes Anderson's been losing me a little bit, unfortunately. I still love his movies. I think the craft is undeniable, like I just said. But there's a real emotion to the storytelling in the first half of his career. With films like Rushmore, Royal Tenenbaums, and Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. These are all really personal stories. He writes them with Owen Wilson. And
Co-writes?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And well, he doesn't anymore. Like, that's why I'm saying there's two halves of his careers.
Ones, yeah.
And then he moves into his bigger budget films that are more focused on style over substance. Not saying these films don't have substance, because one of these films is my favorite, Grand Budapest Hotel.
And you could not possibly say Fantastic Mr. Fox does not have substance as well.
Right.
Even
No.
it's an adaptation,
Right.
but it's
such a
so
good adaptation.
markedly
Yeah.
different
It's
as well.
so good.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's one of his masterpieces.
Compared to, like, there was definitely a phase where everyone was going through and doing a lot of Roald Dahl adaptations, and I think the Fantastic Mr. Fox one is just amazing. Every single time I watch it, without fail, there's not a part that I don't enjoy. The little snarky comments that not everyone will get, but there's still something for everybody. And the comedy, it's amazing. Even in the animation, he somehow has been able to capture his style of storytelling, which is just amazing. If you can.
Also, George Clooney as Mr. Fox
What a
is
voice.
just
So good.
hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's the perfect stuff.
yeah.
You wouldn't pick it. You honestly wouldn't pick him as a voice actor, but really good.
When I say he's been losing me, I'm specifically talking about his last three films. Asteroid City came out this year, French Dispatch 2021, and Isle of Dogs 2018. French Dispatch, really, I couldn't connect to. It's an anthology, and that's what it was going for. This technical craft in that film was out of this world, but I just wanted there to be a story to connect to. Asteroid City, this is different. It's one story, but the way it's told, it's a play within a play film. Sorry for spoiling it. It's a film about a play being made.
I haven't seen it yet.
Rather than a just original story. So I found it hard to connect to that one as well. And Isle of Dogs was stop motion again. Not saying it's not impressive, but I just don't think the story was that strong. And maybe that's because of Roald Dahl. But those three movies I have a really hard time with.
Is Isle of Dogs
I
a
just
Stop
Roald
motion.
Dahl?
No.
No,
I'm sorry.
You think that's why Fantastic
Mr.
Mr. Fox was so good?
Yeah.
because
Right, yeah.
the
Perhaps.
story was already there.
Yeah, perhaps.
But there's definitely, Wes Anderson's influence is definitely felt on it, not just in style, but also in story. And like
Definitely
you
in the
say, his
acting.
earlier stuff, and even Grand Budapest and stuff like that, has that good story.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he can be dismissed in his influence on the story of Fantastic Mr. Fox
Right.
as a movie.
I think I just don't feel the emotion anymore in his storytelling, especially with Asteroid City and French Dispatch. Like the early films like Royal Tenenbaums is a big one. It's a family story. And there's so much like personal, emotion in that film, like in the relationships between the dad and the father. That film's a masterpiece. But I just don't see that anymore in like some of the characters he's writing. And I feel like he's one that's definitely prioritized style over substance.
Yeah. I think his casts of it's because the casts are getting bigger and bigger.
Right.
Because like in the French Dispatch, there were 4 stories with a bunch of actors, and you didn't really get a deep dive on many of them. It was about this thing that they've discovered.
Mm-hmm. French Dispatch.
Whereas the Grand Budapest, it's 2 main characters,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're fleshed out to the maximum, and it was amazing.
And same with Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Exactly,
It's a deep
same
dive
with
on
Man-
one character.
yeah.
And then Moonrise Kingdom, one of his older ones, deep dive on 2 characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, like you're saying, that's where he's at his best, is when he's focused on 1 or 2 specific characters rather than a whole menagerie of players, essentially.
Yeah.
For
And that's
instance-
probably where Isle of Dogs, I don't know if where you might not enjoy it that much. I still enjoyed it quite a bit.
I like all of his movies.
Yeah.
So you still like them?
Yes.
It's
Still liked
just
it. You just-
compared to the old ones,
Yes.
the new ones you don't enjoy
Really?
as
Yes.
much.
I have a
Don't
hard time
resonate
with them.
I think I would put Isle of Dogs above Moonrise Kingdom though.
Mm.
Just
I
because
will
of
reveal my
his-
ranking later
Okay.
of all of his
All right.
films.
I can't rank all of his films because I haven't seen all of them,
Yeah.
but I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah. I think French Dispatch just really, like, I had a really tough time with him specifically. Like,
Is
that's
that your
one-
least favorite?
No.
Asteroid
Because
City was?
Because, no, I like Asteroid City more than French Dispatch.
Okay.
He'll tell us later.
Yeah, true, you'll
Yeah,
tell
yeah. It's
My bad. I'm getting
because
ahead
the
of myself.
craft is so much better than some of the early ones. Because he has a lot of films. But, like, as soon as I started to get connected to a story in French Dispatch, a new story would be being told.
He could have released them as half an hour shorts.
That's
each.
what I liked about the Netflix shorts, because they're all
Yeah.
separate, and I knew that. And I knew French Dispatch was an anthology film, but I just didn't like. I feel like he needed. I don't know. I feel like I wish he took each one of those stories and made them into his own film, because I wanted to see that story be told more rather than moving on to the next.
So it's
one.
not that you didn't like what was there; it's that you didn't like what wasn't there.
Yes.
There wasn't enough for you.
Yes. Yes.
Fair enough. Fair
I don't
enough.
know.
I went into French Dispatch completely blind.
Wow.
So I had watched
Yeah.
Wes Anderson movies before French Dispatch. I'd seen Moonrise Kingdom. I'd seen Fantastic Mr. Fox. But I didn't know Wes Anderson as like a personality or a style or a director, really. Like, I didn't know anything about him. I just had seen some of his movies by chance. I went into French Dispatch. I saw it in theaters. I didn't know anything about Wes Anderson, and I didn't know it was an anthology.
Wow.
So I went in and I was so confused. But I really enjoyed what I saw. I didn't understand it straight away. And then, like you say, when each story ended, I was like, oh, I wish there was more. But
Right.
that was partly I wish there was more, like storytelling wise, and partly I wish there was more because I'd only just started to understand what was going on. And then it switched, and I was like, now I'm back at the start where I don't understand again.
They definitely could have added, because it's an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh,
They
that's-
definitely
that's
could have
so
used that.
short for a modern movie. as
Exactly.
well.
They could have added, they could have just got it to the 2 hour mark and added that tiny bit to each one of those stories, and it would have made it so much better.
5 minutes more for each story.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take anything. Because the first story with Adrian Brody and Benicio del Toro, like the tortured penis, like I thought that was amazing.
That was the second one.
Oh.
The first one was Owen Wilson going around.
Well, that one's short
this
though.
town.
I'm talking about like the first
Oh,
long one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because there's more than just 3 stories in it. There's
Yeah.
the 3 big main stories.
I'm talking about the
and then
big.
there's
Sorry.
also
Yeah.
the little in-betweens about the actual French Dispatch.
Yeah, yeah.
That stuff was really cool.
Yeah, I like... See, that's why it worked for me, is that they were told, they're like, this is a newspaper company. We all work for the newspaper company. Here is how we came across these stories for the newspaper company. And it worked that it wasn't just 3 random stories. They were all connected in that way. It's just those stories felt like they needed a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love that story with Benicio del Toro and Adrian Brody, and I just wanted
That was
to see,
amazing.
see that all. I wanted to see so much more of it.
I think it worked as a short though. I don't know how I'd feel about it if it was a If it was a
definitely
90-minute feature?
wouldn't watch, or not wouldn't watch, but wouldn't want, a feature
yeah.
of that. But I do think more could have been nicer.
Yeah, because it just went straight from. Wait, hang on, I'm mixing up 2 of them. Oh no, I was gonna say it just went straight from painting to police cooking, but those are 2 very different ones. I think they're just because they're both in black and white, but yeah, it was centered around. Okay, this guy's painting, and then okay, he's gonna sell it. That's about it. They definitely could have gone more into like a flashback for him or something, as much as Ollie hates flashbacks. But like a flashback is to, oh, okay, this is why he's in jail
I
or
was
something.
when I was watching One Piece, I was thinking, because there's a flashback sequence, I was thinking about how, like, I was like, is this a flashback that works? Yeah, it is. And I think the way a flashback works is when it is intimately connected with what you're seeing in the modern, like in the normal storyline. So in the main storyline, the flashback has to be relevant and connected. And what I was saying about not liking flashbacks and not wanting to put them into student films in particular is they're always just an extra scene.
Yeah.
They're not like they're connected in by way of being an extra scene. But it's like you could put that at the start instead of putting it in the middle as a flashback.
Yeah.
Or you could connect it in more intimately and that would work.
A really good example of a flashback in the middle of a movie is Knives Out. Because you find out that who the murderer was, and then it makes it so much more intense.
But it's also only a flashback like to the day before.
Yeah, it's a flashback to the day before, but it's still a flashback that actually shows... No, hang on. It was... I think it was a week. A week and a bit.
Nothing major, though.
No.
I find like that's less offensive in any movie, a short flashback, than a major flashback where you go back to childhood.
It was quite a long flashback.
Well, I mean...
I think it was about...
Not the length of the flashback.
The distance, the space and time if it's like 10 years.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And so in One Piece it worked quite well because you got some backstory on a character you hadn't had backstory for yet. And you also... It was like that classic, like he's trying to do something, but his body and mind are not working together, and he's having a flashback to where his inner turmoil has come from, and he works through it in his mind as he's going through this physical struggle. And so it was the combination of like that mental thing and that physical thing. The mental thing just happened to be a flashback. Yeah. And that worked quite nicely.
Yeah. Okay. We're getting a little bit off topic. Let's talk about the Grand Budapest Hotel as the last one. Yes. Definitely his best movie.
I couldn't agree more. Do you agree?
I would say that's my favorite of the ones I've watched.
Is it your favorite?
I'm not sure.
Definitely.
I'm not sure
100%.
It's drawn me in as much for rewatchability. So I found it the most interesting and the most possibly enjoyable to watch in the moment. But I find that whenever I'm thinking of like a Wes Anderson movie that I'd like to rewatch, it's always Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Can I just read one of my Letterboxd reviews for this movie?
Yeah.
I think it explains why this movie's great.
One of the reasons. Quote Jake Lacey on Letterboxd.
5 stars. I say every frame of this movie. That's it.
So you're
every frame of the movie you enjoy.
Yes.
Every single frame
is quote every frame of this movie.
Yes.
That's good. That actually no, that sums it up
exactly,
perfectly.
Doesn't it? Because it's one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like there's not a bad frame in this film.
No debate there.
I went to New Zealand a couple of weeks ago, and we went to Weta Workshop. Now Weta didn't work on that, but I was like, they do miniatures, and there's something about miniatures and the way they just work in a film. Like almost always, I can't think of a film I've seen where there's been miniatures and it hasn't worked. And the Grand Budapest Hotel, there's miniatures everywhere. Miniatures for the hotel, miniatures for the cable car,
all of the
miniatures
sets.
for the like all pretty much everything is miniatures. And that's one of Wes Anderson's things is miniatures. But I think Grand Budapest Hotel does it best.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think in that film there's only a couple the majority of the externals are miniatures. There's only 1 or 2 shots that are external that are not miniature because you're focusing on the characters. But apart from that, every single setting or like traveling scene is done in miniature. And they're done so well. I can't say anything bad about it.
I think it's just the definition of a perfect movie. Like every aspect of it works so well. Ralph Fiennes in this movie. Oh my God.
Put him in more things, please.
It's like a revelation. He's in all of the...
He is in...
the shorts.
Yeah, he's in the shorts.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's awesome to see him. He plays Roald Dahl. Spoilers.
Oh, wow. Okay,
yeah.
There you go. I can see that.
But he also plays some characters.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Henry Sugar. You guys should watch that this weekend.
It's on my list.
Or this week. Because
on my list.
If you don't watch all of them, watch that one.
Okay.
Watch it for Thursday as well as the social
Perhaps
network.
we could talk about it a little bit.
Don't have time for that.
Should I share my ranking?
I'll
we don't have enough budget for that. All right, keep going.
Should I share my ranking of every Wes Anderson film?
Yep.
Go.
And then I'd like to hear your guys' rankings as well, like of the films you've seen.
Of the films I've seen.
Yeah.
Start from lowest.
Okay.
Start from your lowest.
So my least favorite Wes Anderson film is The Darjeeling Limited. This is 2007, one of his early films. It comes off one of my favorites at the top, which is a family story. This is another family story. It's got a great cast, a great look. I like all these movies. I just think it's the one I connect to the least. So he's got 11. That's 11. 10 is Isle of Dogs. Very low. Very low. Yeah, because if I'm gonna rewatch a Wes Anderson film that's stop motion, I'm gonna rewatch Fantastic Mr. Fox. I'm not gonna watch this one. 8 is his first movie, Bottle Rocket. Great movie, really impressive for a debut, but
short.
It is short, and it is a debut.
It's a short, yeah.
Oh no, it's from a short. So there's a short and a feature.
Oh right, hang on, I'm reading the wrong page.
Yeah.
Yep.
8 is The French Dispatch. Now we get into like these masterfully made movies, and that's a masterfully made movie, even if I don't really connect to it. 7 is Asteroid City. Again, masterfully made. I connect to it a little bit more since it's not separate stories, but still not all the way there just because of some of the way the story is told. 6 is Moonrise Kingdom. Great relationship film. I love the look of it. 5 is The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Underrated. His most underrated film, I think. Bill Murray gives such an emotional performance. Is maybe my favorite Bill Murray performance. The rest of the cast is amazing too, though. Like Owen Wilson, Willem Dafoe.
I don't know. Ghostbusters is pretty good.
Yeah, he's got a lot. It's really hard.
That's where the Willem Dafoe picture with the beanie comes from, where he's crouched on the dock.
Yeah,
we could do so much on Bill Murray because he has so many amazing performances. 4 is Rushmore. This is his real like hit on the scene film. I love this movie. Jason Schwartzman, first time he worked with Wes Anderson, obviously a big guy from him. I love just what the story tells. It's a bit of a weird movie, and like his weirdest, I think, like subject matter wise. Bill Murray in this movie also one of my favorite performances from him.
And Brian Cox, which is not typical Wes Anderson.
Yeah, very weird that he's in that movie.
But yes, it was.
Now we're in his top 3. He's got 3 masterpieces. 3 is Fantastic Mr. Fox. I really want to put it higher, but I don't know. It's just so good. But I love the other two more. 2 is The Royal Tenenbaums. You guys haven't seen this, right?
No.
Watch it soon, please. This movie is so emotional. I love every single
for our next thing after, instead of the one you've already picked.
Okay, then we can move. Yeah, because I picked the one we picked next week for Halloween.
We'll set up a calendar.
It'll make more sense if we move it.
It'll be closer to Halloween if we do it.
We'll set up a calendar.
But this movie, I mean, is so amazing, and
it's on Disney Plus.
Yes.
I think almost all of his movies are on
a lot of
them. I think he's got a pretty good relationship with them. I think.
And one is Grand Budapest Hotel. I mean, just unreal stuff.
That's a great
great
series of rankings.
Do you guys have any like?
Apart from Isle of Dogs, I think. Yeah. But I also haven't seen a lot of his films.
Yeah, I haven't seen most of them.
He has done quite a few shorts though, which is
cool.
It's really cool
for a director who's so big to be making shorts regularly. I think that's awesome.
Really cool. And I think making short films is part of where every filmmaker starts.
Yeah, I mean, no one should be jumping in with a feature film. If you are, you're insane. Impressive, but insane.
Yeah.
And probably somewhere in the middle, it's going to get lost. And then it might come back for a solid ending. But
even if you've done commercials, like a lot of people have directed commercials.
He's done a lot of commercials.
He has. Like the Stella Artois, I can't pronounce that.
Stella Artois. Les Appartematiques.
That one.
That was probably terrible. But
sorry, all French speakers.
Before you guys share your rankings, can I just read the plot synopsis and cast for his next film that we know of? Described as a father-daughter espionage story with a darker tone than usual for Anderson. Cast: Benicio del Toro, Michael Cera, Jeff Goldblum.
Michael Cera with those other
no
two.
daughter cast, but Michael Cera in a Wes Anderson film is something that hasn't happened yet.
I think it works really well, especially after seeing him in Barbie.
Amazing. Yeah,
I think
Barbie
really
needed
good
more of Alan.
Yeah,
I think the whole point though was that he was barely there.
I know.
Alan, he fits in Ken's clothes.
Yes,
that's all it is.
That sounds awesome. Okay, I'm
Did
happy
you
to do
understand?
my ranking. I'm just going to first list the ones I've seen, which is I'm going top to bottom in just most recent. I've seen French Dispatch, I've seen Grand Budapest, I've seen Moonrise Kingdom, I've seen Fantastic Mr. Fox. That's all of the ones I've seen. So I don't have a lot to rank from, and I think it would go. I think it's Moonrise Kingdom, which is only. I mean, not Moonrise Kingdom. French Dispatch, Moonrise Kingdom, which is only as low as it is because the other two are above it. Like if I'd seen more, I think it would potentially be higher than second bottom. It's my most nostalgic one because it's the first one I watched. I didn't know I was watching a Wes Anderson movie. My cousin was just showing me some movie, but I really enjoyed it then, and then I rewatched it, and I really enjoyed it when I rewatched it. And then Fantastic Mr. Fox and Grand Budapest is such a hard comparison
They're
choice.
very different genres, though.
And
as
like I
well.
said just before, like I feel like I could rewatch Fantastic Mr. Fox a million times, but I'm not sure I could rewatch Grand Budapest as many times. But I feel like Grand Budapest is better made and is also more original. And I find originality to be a very big like drawing factor for me. I mean, which is so weird because my favorite franchise is Star Wars, and I'll just watch every single Star Wars piece. But the more original Star Wars content is the better Star Wars content.
Yeah,
like
the
Rogue
stories that
One
we haven't seen before.
and or those ones are so vastly interesting.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to put Grand Budapest above Fantastic Mr. Fox. Though looking at the rankings, it's so close. It's like 2.2. Like Grand Budapest is 8.1 on IMDb, and Fantastic Mr. Fox is 7.9.
Those I think are his two greatest works, and like I think that's like a collective like agreed upon. Like,
Most people would say
Yeah.
that. Yeah, definitely.
even though Royal Tenenbaums is amazing.
Honestly, as someone who hasn't seen it, I'm not keen. Honestly, don't like it. Heard nothing about it. Nope, don't like it.
Yeah, obviously it can't be good.
We
because
need
I've
to
heard
go.
nothing
No,
about it.
haven't heard anything about it, so it must be terrible. No, we're gonna watch it. The next couple of weeks, we're gonna watch it. I guess I'll rank mine. So the ones that I've seen in order of most recent: French Dispatch, Isle of Dogs, Grand Budapest, Moonrise Kingdom, and Fantastic Mr. Fox.
So you've only
Wait.
seen Isle of Dogs.
Wait,
on
say
top
that
of
again?
mine.
Yes,
Say that again.
French Dispatch, Isle of Dogs, Grand Budapest, Moonrise, Fantastic Mr. Fox.
So same as mine, but plus Isle of Dogs.
Only
Grand
plus
Budapest had 3.
No, that's not his ranking.
That's
Oh,
not. That's
sorry.
not my rank.
Oh my God.
I
That was
just
Just
specified.
toned
him
out for a
saying
second. I
them
thought that was your
because-
ranking.
No, that was him saying
I'm
them
so sorry.
like
I was
in-
like, whoa.
in an order from most recent release.
Yeah,
just
okay.
for like context, it's like 8 o'clock on a Monday evening, and it's a public holiday.
We're tired.
I've been driving all day.
We're
like,
I've
very
been editing
tired.
all day. Yeah. Brains are not functioning.
No, so I reckon I don't want to put Isle of Dogs at the bottom, but it's also it's really good. But I think I'm gonna have to. I'll put Isle of Dogs, then Moonrise Kingdom.
You liked French Dispatch more than Moonrise?
I did. I think it was just those singular stories that really stood out for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So French Dispatch, and again back at this
The
dilemma.
conundrum.
The one
It's
conundrum.
really hard.
It's so hard. I think I've already said I think Grand Budapest is my favorite, but they're definitely, if we're comparing them in genre, they're both at the top.
I think
Like,
I also
they are-
I
they are
find
on par.
animation more rewatchable than live action movies,
It's true.
even if they're not necessarily better. I mean, my favorite movie is How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah,
I love Kung Fu Panda. The amount of times I've seen those two movies alone, I don't think I could count. But I don't think there's a live action movie, even counting like Star Wars, that I've seen as many times as I've seen those.
yeah. It's such a dilemma.
It's very hard. Those are like
But-
two like masterpieces in my opinion. So.
If I had to, Grand Budapest would be 1, and Fantastic Mr. Fox would be 1.01.
I mean, you can
I
do
think-
that.
I'll be really curious to
I don't
see
know.
where you guys placed Royal Tenenbaums. We might have to update that.
We
After-
will.
after we,
We'll have to write these down.
We'll talk about it later, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
We love Wes Anderson.
Just for reference, we've all started standing up because it's
I'm getting sore. We've
getting
been
a
sitting
bit
down
sore.
for a while.
We've been recording for a while.
We love Wes Anderson. Even if I have some reservations about him, I'll always love him as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also dangerous to say any one filmmaker is perfect or has no flaws, and so it's really good to acknowledge that.
Jake?
I disagree.
No, I don't care.
I'm joking.
Everyone has flaws, and this is something fundamental about the human condition. And we can start getting into philosophy if you want, but I think it carries across to movie making.
Just lift it up. Yep, that's what you need to do.
Jake was worried about damaging it. Oh, it's falling down.
Just screw up the
Tighten
joint.
it up
Just
the middle
tighten
of
the
it.
joint. Yeah.
Raw.
It's the bottom one. It's the bottom one.
Tighten
Away
both
from
of
you.
them.
Yep, there you go. Okay, so just to sum up, that was director in focus, Wes Anderson this week. We might do another one of these.
Martin Scorsese, when he releases Killer of the Flower Moon, October 19th, perhaps.
Potentially, yeah.
Where I think
I know you guys haven't seen a lot of his work, though, so.
no, but I think we're gonna go. We'll go watch it together.
We'll go watch it
Oh,
together.
that's happening for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we're not going to do that as one of your deep dives.
No.
You can put your rating straight up on Letterboxd
and we'll
without us having to worry about it.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely. But I think we'll go like 2 days after you've seen it anyway.
Yeah.
So that's fine. So let's finish with a quick game of quick pitch.
Sounds good.
Where each person will pick either a director, actor, or genre, and we're gonna have to create a movie out of it. So
I think what we need to acknowledge before we start, every movie that we've made, we've said we would absolutely love to see,
yeah,
even if it sounds absolutely bonkers. I think we need to acknowledge the fact that
these
probably some of these movies we're not going to want to see.
no.
So far,
No.
we've struck gold with either cheesy B movies or actual something that could be decent if they were written by someone with more experience than us. But we're probably not going to strike gold every time. And there's a feeling in my brain today. We're just not going to come up.
It's
with
not going to be
good.
the one.
Today's not going to be the one.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
But we'll try. We'll try our
I don't
best.
know.
We might surprise ourselves.
We might. I think it's because we're too close to the idea. I reckon we're going to hand it off to if we handed it off to another writer, they'd be like, "This is terrible.
Oh, yeah,
Where did you come up with this?"
I mean, Quentin Tarantino would rather die than make the movie we've suggested.
Oh
for
yeah,
him.
definitely.
No, but that movie's just...
If it's
But it
not
would be awesome.
nostalgic and insane in most ways, he doesn't care.
True.
He wants to see it flush down the toilet and say some very bad words about it.
Jake, what do you want to do? Do you want to do director, actor, or genre?
What are you thinking?
Because I was thinking, I've got an actor in mind.
Okay. You got an
Okay.
actor? I don't
Well,
have an actor. I did
think
actor last week.
I did genre last week.
Okay, we can...
So
we can
you pick a genre. Pick a genre that we haven't done. So for reference, we've done
sci-fi.
we've done sci-fi.
We've done horror.
We've done animation.
Animation is not a genre. That was when
It's
we
a
did sci-fi.
medium.
We've done...
I'm tired.
Actually, have we done sci-fi twice? Because we did... No,
We did
that was
sci-fi.
comedy.
No, no.
We did
We
comedy.
did Western, didn't we?
No.
No.
So we've done a comedy,
What was
we've done
the-
a sci-fi, and we've done a.
Oh, we did do Western.
Joaquin-
we did do
Joaquin Phoenix,
Western.
Sam Raimi.
Joaquin Phoenix,
Ah,
Sam
that's what it
Raimi.
was.
Okay,
Thriller?
so
Thriller?
we
You
could
wanna
do
do thriller?
We could do thriller.
I don't think I've watched enough.
In
thriller
specific,
movies.
like a crime thriller.
Crime thriller.
You know what I mean?
Because my actor.
Okay.
Do you want me to say my actor before you say director? Or do we want to say director first?
Let's say actor first.
Okay, I'm gonna say my actor.
Start with an actor. We'll go backwards.
Because we were talking about him so much, I'm going to say Bill Murray. Because we were talking about him with Wes Anderson. And you were talking about what his best movies are. I was like, he's a good actor to do. Because he's done Ghostbusters, which is such a family movie. Fun, silly. But he's also been in these Wes Anderson ones, which are also family, fun, silly, but quite intellectual in some ways.
I don't know if he's ever done a thriller.
Really?
No,
I feel like...
I'm
but
just
I feel
looking
like
at
it's something
someone.
he
I don't
has
think
done.
he's ever done one.
He's done a lot of genres,
Yeah.
but never a thriller.
No.
That's a great choice.
I feel like you could put him in The Departed.
I need to see that. Absolutely, though. I agree.
Because I don't think he's a comedy actor. He is a comedic actor when he's doing comedy, but
Yeah.
I don't think he's just a genre
No,
actor.
he has a range.
In that
He
he-
has
yeah,
no,
he
he
has
has
a
range.
quite a range.
I mean, Lost in
Um,
Translation shows range.
Yeah.
I don't know if
So
you've seen it.
a Bill Murray thriller directed by...
Can't say Wes Anderson.
No, I wasn't going to. Can't say Wes Anderson, Sam Raimi, or Quentin.
Can't say Taika
Tarantino.
Waititi
Can't
or
say
Quentin
Taika
Tarantino.
either.
And there's one more that
There
we
is
were
one
missing,
more.
but
I forget. We need
James
to.
Wan.
no, we didn't end up doing it.
Oh, right.
We need to start writing these down.
Yeah.
There aren't many directors I can think of that have a distinct style. Like there are a lot that are just kind of like very similar when they direct the same genre.
I think it's also, though, we've been trying to throw these directors in the deep end and give them like a genre or an actor that they've never worked with before.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Pick a director that's done thriller before. Someone who does it really well.
Actually, I think Tim Burton.
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton in a thriller.
Because his movies sort of are, but sort of aren't thrillers.
No, they're like
campy
Wes
He's
Anderson,
dabbled.
but with less of the visual style, like visual uniqueness, more of the story uniqueness.
Yeah.
Because it's always the main character will have a dad that he hates, and it'll always be some wacky zany names that's just insane.
I don't
I'm
feel
not sure I've seen enough Tim Burton
Yeah,
movies.
I was just gonna say I don't feel familiar enough with his style. I feel like I've seen a few of his movies, but I don't like.
Do you want me to? I can list a couple of his movies that he's done. He's done more than you think.
Yeah.
So he's done The Nightmare Before Christmas. He's done Edward Scissorhands, Alice in Wonderland, the 1989 Batman, and 92 Batman Returns. He's also done Dark Shadows, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. He did Dumbo. He did James and the Giant Peach. He has actually done quite a few Roald Dahl movies. He did Alice in Wonderland, or Alice Through the Looking Glass. Yeah.
I've seen very few of these. I've seen Frankenweenie,
I haven't seen Frankenweenie.
and I've seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
You haven't seen his Batman?
No, I haven't seen.
He did the
Batman.
James and the, it was like the
I've
animated
seen some of Wednesday.
the James and the Giant Peach from 96.
I've definitely seen that, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it on his filmography.
He might have been a producer on.
Yeah, I'm only looking at the stuff he's directed, and it's not on there.
Oh, okay.
So I don't count that. If he's just produced it or helped write it, I'm just looking at the stuff he's directed, and I've only seen like I
Okay.
say, I've seen Wednesday. Well, I've seen his episodes of Wednesday. I've seen Frankenweenie, and I've seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory because it's the Johnny Depp one.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But
So
those are like there's style.
quick
there.
reminder: actors. Which actor did
Bill
we do?
Murray.
We did Bill
Thriller.
Murray in
Thriller.
a thriller directed by Tim Burton.
What's the story?
Well, Bill Murray is the main character. His dad hates him.
He's jaded.
Yeah.
He's a jaded man. So is his dad alive and really old, or is
His
his
dad-
dad dead?
What if? So they used to live in a caravan, and one day he got home from school, and his dad and the caravan are gone. There's nothing but the steps to the caravan.
I thought you were
in
going
the
to say
spot.
his dad was dead in the caravan.
No, because then.
But
I
I
don't
think
think
it's better if they're
the
gone.
dads are ever dead. They've always
mystery thriller.
just left.
Yeah, mystery thriller.
We need a profession for Bill Murray's character. I feel like it should start somewhat there.
I just said he got home from school.
Oh,
He's an adult.
He is
He got home from community
He
college.
is a 14-year-old child at a community. He was coming home from church.
what year did you want to make this?
Yeah, are we time traveling? I didn't know we could do that.
It starts with a time travel.
Starts-
Connected to Quentin Tarantino's film with Danny DeVito.
Ooh, no.
This is the off-camera cinematic universe.
Oh, no.
OC.
Don't be like that. The OCCU.
The OCCU, there it is.
The OKU.
The OCU. Oh, I don't like
good
that.
ideas are
OCCU.
flowing clearly.
I think that's a good start.
Yes.
He comes home from work. He lives in or maybe he doesn't come home. Maybe he goes to visit his dad. Maybe even 5 minutes before he calls his dad, and he's there, and then he arrives and he's not
Could he live with his dad? So he's still living with his dad
in the caravan.
Oh, I like that
in
for
the
the character.
caravan because it's
What if the caravan? What if he drives the only car that pulls the caravan? Like,
and then
the
so
family, the two of them only have one car. He drives that car to work. His dad just stays in the caravan.
and the caravan's just gone.
And the caravan's gone. And 5 minutes before, he calls him, and he's there, and
He's
he
like,
arrives, and
Dad,
it's gone.
I'm on my way home. I'll see you soon. He's like, all right, I'll see you soon. I'm just watching the footy.
Yeah,
That's very American.
well, all of the people we've talked about so far are American. So, But yeah, like mystery. Where does it go from there though?
We need to leave some clues at the scene so we can
He's
have
got.
a...
We see tire marks. We see. I don't know if anybody's ever used a caravan before, but you usually have chocks you stick under the wheel, and then
They're still there in the exact same place they
there's
were.
still the chocks for the wheels and the step, and then there's just tire marks leading off onto the road.
And we need like one, I think, like succinct object that leads him on his
He's
journey.
left his gold tooth on the floor.
No, that's so cliche. I was going to say teddy bear, and that's also cliche, whether it's an adult or a kid.
Bill Murray with a teddy bear. I don't know about
Something to connect it to, you know? The dad and the...
that. Something.
What if there's like a bottle of whiskey that
Mm.
his dad's been collecting, like been saving for years,
and
and
it's
it's perfectly sat on the top of the steps.
unopened.
Yeah, unopened.
Unopened.
Yes, that's good.
Unopened but empty.
Whoa. Whoa.
That gave me chills.
That's
That's-
actually like...
Can we start writing this?
You were wrong, Ollie. Great ideas were going to come. out of
Hey,
this.
This is a good
we're
idea.
doing an interesting genre instead of
Instead
going
of
crazy. We're doing a thriller. Thrillers work.
Mm.
Oof, okay.
I think. Do we have to come? This is a pitch. We don't
Who
have
do
to
we-
come up with the whole story.
Who are we casting as the dad?
Ooh.
Not Robert De Niro because he's in every thriller.
Not Robert De Niro.
Do we ever need to see the dad? Surely at the end,
what?
probably.
It's a
What?
good
What
question.
if?
I
I was gonna say
Danny DeVito.
Ronald Reagan, but I haven't watched any of his movies.
Ronald
And then-
Reagan, who is dead
Who was the president?
and
who's
is
now
dead.
Dead. Yeah. Bill Murray's gonna be dead soon.
Yeah, but we're,
no,
we're,
no,
being, we're
no.
not being farcical
No,
with this.
we're
We
not.
ruled out time
Okay,
What
travel.
okay.
about legendary director Francis Ford Coppola?
You want him to play the dad?
Has he
Who's,
acted?
No, he's directed The Godfather though, so he knows how to direct actors.
Oh, no, an old guy. Oh, what's his face from?
F. Murray Abraham.
Oh, that's good. That's it. Also been in Wes Anderson stuff, so
I know that's. I've been picturing him. He voices in Moon Knight. He voices Khonshu, the moon god, and just his voice is very resonant.
It's that.
It's very
the deep white
Yeah, we could-
old white man voice.
we could have that voice like
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like
the
his.
back.
If we
Yeah.
don't see him until the very end, that's such a good voice for an older man. I think that's the dad. Do we need to come up with the rest of the story? I don't think we need to.
What
Just
about the climax? Just the climax.
the
Yeah.
climax. Okay, so he's found his dad,
Mhm.
but what's happened? He's found his dad, but
Something.
Okay, just for reference, F. Murray Abraham is 83 and Bill Murray is 73.
yeah, but movie magic.
F.
We'll
Murray.
de-age Bill Murray.
A little bit, or we age up F. Murray Abraham.
Makeup.
Make
Yeah.
up. Oh yeah, make the old man older. Okay,
Like
His
maybe
voice
he's
is-
93.
Yeah.
there we go.
And
And he
he
can
had
still
him at
he can
20.
lift a caravan. He just put it up on his shoulders and ran away. I can picture that now. That's such a good image.
Yeah.
That would be.
That's supposed to.
It's a comedy. No, it's back to a comedy.
Wow.
so
What is the
climax.
climax? Yeah.
Climax. Well, you need
I
something
think he
very
needs to have found his dad. in the
Yes, I
climax.
agree.
Tim Burton-y.
He's found his dad
His dad is dead.
hanging upside down.
No, I don't want to kill the father.
No, he's not dead.
He's not
Oh, yeah.
dead.
He's missing a foot and he's hanging upside down, hanging upside down, sitting in a chair, but the chair is hanging upside down from a metal beam
Okay.
in the middle of the road.
And he's like, "Oh, what took you so long?"
Where? Where does he find?
Like it's some underpass. Like literally, it's just a bridge. There's a
He's
there's
just
a
in an-
railway bridge going over the road, and he's hanging from that, sitting in a chair. So it looks like he's sitting there perfectly. We can have the camera start so that he's framed.
start
So he's
right
just
way up
sitting
and
there
then it just
perfectly, and then
rotates.
jibs, it cranes back out and rotates, and we see he's hanging upside down. And then Bill
And
Murray's
then
car.
Bill
pulls up.
Murray and comedy ensues.
No, that's good.
No comedy.
I'm imagining this film as like kind of like a travel film, like along with being a thriller. Like he traveled.
Oh,
I'm
like Little
thinking
Miss Sunshine.
a little bit, but I'm imagining it in like the American South, just because of these two guys, and like Bill Murray has to travel across states to find his dad, and
Can't
I feel
say I've
like
ever been
it should
there.
end
I feel like it could be in Alaska equally
Or
as
that-
it could be in the
that.
South.
during winter time.
He's
during
between
during autumn.
He's between two trees, upside down in a chair. There's a campfire that's just smoldering in the
I
caravan.
think it could
sitting
still
there.
be under a rail. No, the caravan's not there.
That's
In the
even
climax.
worse.
I
The
think in the
dad's
middle of
there.
the film, Bill Murray should find the caravan.
Yeah, he finds the caravan,
Okay.
but he doesn't find the dad.
Mhm.
The caravan's on the train tracks
Maybe
and it's hooked up
the
to a
caravan's
train.
on a
While
train. Yeah.
while he gets Top Gear did it.
yeah.
He gets into the caravan and it's like he's rummaging around. He can't find his dad. There's like beers and everything on the floor. And then there's another bottle of the whiskey, unopened but empty. And then
No, there's only one bottle of this whiskey. It's a collector's item for his dad.
oh right,
Same year he was born.
that's a good point. 10 years
Especially-
before Bill Murray.
No. Bill Murray's
Yeah.
character is 53,
He's 53.
and F. Murray Abraham's character is 93.
Once we start
Age
involving
him up,
years,
age
that's
Bill Murray
going to
down.
be very difficult.
No one. They don't need exact ages.
No, it's just funny to think of.
Yeah.
Okay, so he gets in the caravan and it starts moving, and then Bill Murray's like, "Oh my god, something happened." He gets on top of the caravan and he needs
Now
to
it's an
jump
action
off,
movie, though.
and then he gets hit by a seagull. I don't know.
It's a thriller.
I know.
I feel like it's more of a mystery now, but a mystery thriller can.
But
He
yeah,
could get pulled into
I'm
a siding.
picturing like every time I see it, I'm picturing The Departed. Like it's intense. It's very
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah.
If not like as bloody and violent as that, it's as intense as
Yes,
that.
I agree. We still don't have a climax.
I don't think I've seen enough thrillers.
I don't think
for
we.
this.
I think we've got as much of a pitch as we need.
Okay.
Like we've got the start.
I agree.
Caravan's gone, but the bottle of whiskey is there.
That's one of the most-
unopened but empty. And bam, title.
I love that.
What's
That's one
the
of the
title?
most enticing concepts for a film I've heard. Title is got to be related to the whiskey in some.
Dude, where's my dad?
We give the whiskey. Okay, there was a bad idea, Ollie.
More than one, but I'm
That's
just-
terrible.
Wait, now I kind of want to name it that.
Yeah, but it's not a comedy. It works if it's like, dude, where's my car? That's funny. But
He
you
also
can't
lost his
be
car.
Like, dude, where's my dad? No, he still has his car. Remember?
Whiskey asunder.
Oh, right.
Whiskey
Ooh.
asunder. Yeah, right.
That's good.
Even though, is the whiskey that important though? It's just a mystery item.
What
that-
is it? Just asunder then? One word titles not
No,
not
no,
ideal.
no.
No. It's,
What if he's carrying the whiskey with him
Hmm.
for the whole time, and then there's a moment in the middle of the film where he loses it, and it's all very. I've lost the last memory of my dad.
What if the end is he finds it again?
He
What if
finds
the
his
end
he
is they
finds
share a
his
drink?
dad, and he's
but
got
it's
But it's
empty.
empty. I forgot
it's-
about that.
They buy a new one.
they buy a new one. That's
It
not
refills as
Refills.
finds his dad.
Yeah, it's
What's
also,
the-
it's also
the magic pudding.
Magic. The magic whiskey is the magic pudding, but rated R.
Hmm.
I
Whiskey
don't see
something.
how it's that
I
much more intense though. Does
I
he
don't-
mean what? We need something that we need to make it. It needs to be really dark.
Hmm.
Mm.
There needs to be like a set piece central to the film, like kind of like what you're saying.
Well, maybe
but
he's
more of
maybe
thriller
he's
moment.
cliche as it is. Maybe Bill Murray's a retired cop, and it turns out that
He's working as a witness at the police station.
Yeah.
Witnesses
And-
are people who like sign documents for like passports and stuff.
Yeah.
If anybody who doesn't know. I only
Sorry,
found
I
that
thought- I
out.
thought
Like,
you were
no,
telling me,
I'm
I was
not.
like,
I'm not
yes.
referencing.
I'm aware.
I only found this out like 2 months ago, so
Ah,
it's
okay.
fair enough.
I don't think I probably did know, but
Have you signed
There
any
you go.
documents recently?
It's like when you go for a passport
Yeah,
and you need a character to go. This guy's lived in this country for
Mm.
long enough. I'd know him.
Mhm.
But yeah, he's a retired police officer, and is this too cliche for like someone he put behind bars to be out and
He's having a
Seeking
beer with his
revenge.
dad.
no, that's good.
Nah,
good.
I don't know.
Because
How-
because
it
the
feels cliche to me, but I don't know if it is actually cliche or if it's just.
We'll
I've
we'll
seen
start
a few.
funding for it. We'll budget, and then we can do a couple of screen tests and go. Okay, audience, what do you think?
I feel like our concept is so a little bit unique though that it kind of works.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you've got to have something not grounding it because it seems pretty grounded, but
I know what you mean.
like recognizable.
Bringing the
Yeah.
viewer in.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I agree. That's
Whiskey Asunder,
cool. I like that.
Excuse
It's a
yeah.
great name.
directed by
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. but it's a
the
thriller.
Right director for this.
I don't know, but
I don't, because the only really Tim Burton-esque thing we've got is the
dad.
father son, the daddy issues. Which
But he
is-
can do a dark setting.
He's really
that's
he
true.
is really
That's
good
true.
at the
Like
Frankenweenie.
we can make the setting dark, creepy.
I feel like this be a really good Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah, it would. But I don't know.
Well, that's not what it is, Jake.
Yeah.
So
We've also
too bad.
Spielberg is the other director we've already done.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that we did.
Yeah.
do him.
But yeah,
No,
That's-
Burton
that's
works.
what
There
it's
we
gonna
go.
be.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
I think he works for it. I think
Yes.
it would be out of his comfort zone, but I think he could put his own spin on it.
I think you're right. We did kind of get a dud, but if we work on it, I reckon we could work with it.
I mean, no, that
I really like the opening scene.
yeah, the concept.
Yeah.
I think you could go so many ways from there, and I feel like that's something we could do at our level, like have that opening scene and make it something functional and interesting to watch.
Saucer Caravan.
But I also think it's something that a big name director could really take and run with.
And no one person would go in the same direction, which is really interesting.
Exactly.
no,
Exactly.
your everything you own, your whole livelihood just disappeared, except for like your only
Except
connection.
for your empty bottle of whiskey.
Except for, not even yours.
Yeah. your
It's this
dad's
thing that
empty
your
bottle.
dad would never let you touch. And, don't touch it. I'm saving it for a rainy day. Or
Maybe when he retired, his dad said he could have it. Maybe
so
he's
it was
coming
his
home
it was
from
his
his
last
retirement.
day at the police station. He
Yeah.
got this big. Oh no, not even. He didn't even get a big party. It was just a.
he just
It was
walked
just
out.
he walked out. Nobody even said thank you.
Yeah.
He just walked out.
Opening's even better now.
Is it? Or is it more cliche?
It's a little bit more cliche.
mean,
but
it's a
it's
genre.
going to be cliche, and then the whiskey thing will happen,
True.
and then it'll
True.
not be cliche.
So then it's.
I think I get too hung up on cliches.
I always love when there's something cliche and then it gets twisted.
Yeah.
yeah.
cliches
That's what you need to do with
Aren't
it.
always a bad thing.
True.
I still like the dude. Where's my dad? That's great.
Dude,
I want
where's my dad?
that version
Dude,
kind of would
where's
be
my
better.
dad?
Have you guys seen Dude, Where's My Car?
No.
We should. I'm gonna make you guys watch that.
Oh.
You need to create a schedule for this.
Yeah, you
Royal
should actually
Tenenbaums?
Make it.
I actually was considering making like a list.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually
And
do it.
for which week it is.
Do
Right.
it on Letterboxd,
Royal
and
Tenenbaums,
everyone can watch along.
Shining, Dude, Where's My Car, The Godfather.
After
Killers of the
next
Flower
week's
Moon.
one is the Social Network
Yes. So next week we're gonna be watching The Social Network on Stan.
on
only,
Stan.
Only
Cool.
2 hours.
I thought it was also on Netflix. Oh no, it
Maybe.
was for a little bit.
Not
Not
anymore.
Not anymore.
So
Wow.
yeah, just to give a rundown of what's coming up, the Social Network, like we just said. Then Jake's spoiled the next few, but we're now
I
apparently
was like
going
half
to Royal
joking.
Tenenbaums, or The Shining is what Jake wanted to do, and what I asked him to change to Royal Tenenbaums. But
No, that's
I'll
better.
do
It's
I'll do
better.
The Shining if we have to.
You just don't want to watch The Shining.
I just
You're
don't like
scared.
horror movies.
That's fair enough.
But The Shining, I know I have to watch.
Gotta
And
get
it's
one in there
referenced
for Halloween.
everything.
Gotta get.
I
That.
watched Ready Player One again
Mm.
recently. I absolutely love that book.
The book is
mo-
one of my favorite
the-
books.
Same. The movie
Disappointing.
pretty good, but it's just not the same. But it's
That
got
is a
that whole
very-
big Shining sequence in
That's
it.
a very common theme, though. It's always, oh, the book was better.
Yeah.
Unlike Star Wars,
I
the
don't
book
know.
for Star Wars is terrible.
It was Spielberg though. Like that movie should have been amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it is really good, like in terms of filmmaking.
Yeah. It's unique as a film, and there's not very many video game movies because they haven't gone particularly well,
Yeah.
No.
except for
That's a whole.
The
segment.
Last of Us, which is
A
technically a
TV
TV
show.
series.
And
TV shows
And
always work better.
Mario, Sonic, and Detective Pikachu.
What did you guys think of Mario?
I really liked it.
I have not seen it.
But those three are like lauded as they all broke the video game movie curse.
Yeah,
Mm.
which hopefully can continue.
Yeah.
Because I'm very hyped for the new Fallout series that's
Yeah, me too, man.
been
Well,
rumored.
the Halo
and-
series though,
we don't know. Anyway,
There's also a
Yeah.
Borderlands movie coming out.
Really?
with Jack Black playing Claptrap.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exciting.
That's gonna be so,
Yes, please.
so sick. Kate Blanchett's in that.
Yeah.
Like it's wild.
It's got a
It's got a great cast.
I need to
major
research
cast.
this stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's stuff to talk about in the future when it's a bit closer.
for sure.
So for next week, watch The Social Network, and we can talk about it with you. We will be talking about it. Go and petition Tim Burton to make Whiskey
this
Asunder
Terrible movie.
and give us a bunch of money because we came up with the idea, and then we can go and make our own movies.
And then we can
thank you.
make them all free for you guys to come and watch at our screenings and everything.
Yeah. But apart from that, that's it for this special episode.
That's a wrap.
That is a wrap. Thank you for joining us.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah.